Hey you guys, it is so bright and sunny this morning and that makes me very, very happy. So before I get into my video on the colon, which is one of my favorite topics to talk about, I want to tell you guys that my tonic this morning is the same thing again. It's raw coconut water with a lot of chlorella. So yeah, and then I also had a bunch of water this morning and about a mason jar full of Dr. Morse's Heal All tea. So wha-bam, I am feeling good and I'm ready to do this video. So recently got this book, Dr. Jensen's Guide to Diet and Detoxification. So this is the same Dr. Jensen that wrote the iridology video, and he's was really well known for iridology, but he was also well known for his diet and detoxification. And I have not read this whole book, cannot wait to, but I just started reading the beginning of it and I immediately was like, whoa Nelly, this is really good, and I want to do a video on a little portion that I read about. So we had a whole chapter that was entitled Death Begins in the Colon, and that's one of my favorite quotes. And actually, there was a quote that I'm just going to preface everything with that I even typed out, and I want to print it eventually and just, you know, put it up in my house somewhere. I mean, it is just, I just really, really resonated with this. And it's kind of long. It's a paragraph long, but you guys have got to hear this. Okay, so the colon is a sewage system, but by neglect and abuse, it becomes a cesspool. When it is clean and normal, we are well and happy. Let it stagnate and it will distill the poisons of decay, fermentation, and putrefaction into the blood, poisoning the brain and nervous system so that we become mentally depressed and irritable. It will poison the heart so that we are weak and listless, poison the lungs so that the breath is foul. We got a lot of that going on. Poison the digestive organs so that we are distressed and bloated, and poison the blood so that the skin is sallow and unhealthy. In short, every organ of the body is poisoned and we age prematurely, look and feel old, the joints are stiff and painful, neuritis, dull eyes, and a sluggish brain overtake us. The pleasure of living is gone. And when I read that, it was like sunbeams shone over me and I was like, whoa, that is so well put, you know. Essentially, it's just really, really well put, and I really love that quote. So thank you, Jensen, for lighting up my morning yesterday whenever I read that. But I really wanted to tell you guys that too. But anyway, back to the chapter on Death Begins in the Colon. So in this section of the book, Jensen speaks of different doctors in the past who realized how important bowel health is, and how, you know, the bowel health, how it correlates with the rest of the body. And it's really true. So even Dr. Morse talks about how the GI tract, let me see if you can't see me, the GI tract is like the trunk of the tree, okay? And everything stems off from the trunk. So if you don't have a healthy, you know, middle of the body, everything else just gets kind of messed up. So one of the doctors that Jensen talked about was Dr. John Harvey Kellogg, and he believed that the main culprit of bowel toxemia is meat eating. And to me, that just really reigns true, because it just makes sense. You're putting dead flesh into your body and you're expecting to have a good outcome from that? No. So Dr. Kellogg said that the putrefactive changes which recur in the undigested residues of flesh foods were to blame for 90% of all illness. And I really love that quote, and I wanted to tell you guys about that. But, you know, just in general, we need to be aware of the state of our GI tract inside of us. And each of us have bowels, right? Okay? So it's our responsibility to take care of our bowels, you know? We were given them by God. We were given this flesh puppet, and we need to take care of it. And the bowels are like the main hub of the body. And so if you got a cesspool inside of you, you can't expect to be happy or thriving or, you know, anywhere real close to a real state of health. Not only what we eat affects the bowel health, but what we breathe into our lungs, what we put onto our skin. You know, you guys, if you're using toxic chemicals, perfume, sprays, toxic makeup, we got to reevaluate that. because that affects the bowels too. For most people, people are putting pollutants into their body every which way, and a lot of people don't realize it and don't know it, and a lot of people maybe they're just stubborn. They've heard this information before, but they're just stubborn, and that is not something I resonate with. So, examples of these pollutants are chemical food additives, processed food, preservatives, prescription drugs, recreational drugs, alcohol, nutrient deficient foods, high heated foods, animal products, and pesticides. And also the level of physical activity affects the bowels, and also your oxygen intake, etc. Speaking of oxygen intake, now that it's spring and summer, I really want to make a practice of leaving my windows open while I sleep and while I'm all day at the house. And it's something I forget to do, and I'm gonna write it on my fridge. I think tonight I'm gonna say open your windows, because it's so true. We got to get the oxygen into our body. And I spent 2 hours outside yesterday, and I just feel really good today, and I really think that something that correlates with that is the amount of oxygen you get. And when we're in buildings and boxes all day long, we're not really getting fresh oxygen, you guys. Also, a big deal with bowel health is parasites. And I know that a lot of people are in denial about that. They don't think that they have parasites, but let me tell you guys, every single one of us have parasites. But the amount that we have differs from person to person. And yeah, we all have parasites, and we just have to really realize that, okay? Especially if you've eaten any meat or dairy in your life, you have parasites. Raw sushi, you have parasites, and I am included in that, but that can affect bowel health. And one thing I really want to talk about in that quote again, he said, the colon is a sewage system, but by neglect and abuse it becomes a cesspool, and we don't want a cesspool inside of us, you guys. And what helps the colon not be a cesspool? Eating tons of fiber from raw fruits and vegetables, because they're like sweepers. Okay, but not only, it's fairly easy to clean out the GI tract, okay, like the middle of it with fiber, because you're constantly just eating fiber and it sweeps out and then it comes out in the toilet, you know what I mean? But not only that, we have to figure out and we have to maintain how important the health of the bowel wall is, and how do you strengthen that with herbs like Dr. Morse's GI Broom or his Stomach and Bowels number 1 through 5 formulas. It's just is what it is. We have to strengthen the bowel wall of the GI tract after so many years of destruction to it, pretty much. And the book also speaks of and has a whole chapter on auto-intoxication, which is the poisoning of the body through toxic matter. So an example of this could be environmental toxins, okay? Like heavy metals, industrial chemicals, the chlorination of our water, fluoridation of our water, tobacco smoke, air pollution like the chemtrails. You guys look up when you see the little white stripes in the sky that come from planes, that's chemtrails, okay? They don't disappear immediately. That's not a contrail, that's a chemtrail, and that is contributing to our toxicity. And then obviously, and something that I love to talk about and I could clamor on for days about, is dietary pollutants, okay? And to me, that's voluntary, especially after you've heard this knowledge. Dietary pollutants is a voluntary thing that you're voluntarily putting into your body unless you choose not to and you stop the abuse to the body. But unfortunately, many people just don't know this information. They've never been taught true health. So they're just dangerously eating without knowing any better. People are still drinking alcohol. That has me scratching my head, and I've been meaning to do a video on that. People are still smoking cigarettes. They're drinking beverages with toxic additives. People smoke other things other than cigarettes. And people eat difficult to digest foods and foods that are void of nutrients. People have a bombo combos all the time, i.e. bad food combinations. And people overeat on these things, okay? So, auto-intoxication is self-poisoning, and it really is a slow suicide. And so it's unintentional suicide, and it's very sad when it's done through ignorance and people just don't know any better. But it's intentional suicide, which is even sadder to say, when it's done out of stubbornness. So when someone, hears that all these things that they're eating and drinking are not good for you, but they're afraid of change and they're just stubborn. That is intentional suicide. And it talks about that in the book, and it's really true. So yeah, that is just a little tidbit of this book, but I really, really recommend it. This is Dr. Jensen's Guide to Diet and Detoxification. Says features information on Dr. Jensen's 11-day detoxification regime. You know, all of the things that say like 30-day cleanse, 21-day cleanse, 11-day detoxification regime, that's all great and gravy, but we've got to realize that we have to be on a detoxification regime every single day of our lives if we want to thrive in this world. But anyway, it also says how disorders of the colon affect other organs in the body and using diet to overcome chronic disease. That's another thing I'm really passionate about. But yeah, I got this used on Amazon, a couple bucks, maybe $8 or something like that. And I just really, really love it. So I wanted to tell you guys about that and rewind this video and listen to that quote that I said in the beginning, because love that. And I cannot wait to put that on my fridge or on my wall or something like that. But anyway, that is my video. I'm going to go have a beautiful day. And yeah, hope that you guys too. Check out my Etsy. Everything is on sale. Click like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys later. Bye.